Today we're going to talk about sugar as everybody finished their lunch and hid the sugar from me. Just a little quick introduction. I'm Mary Sabat. I have my master's in nutrition. I'm a registered and licensed dietitian. I'm also a personal trainer, so I kind of combine the two so I can get people's attention. A lot of people think they can out-exercise a bad diet, but you can't. You've got to have the diet part too. So my passion is really with nutrition. I was a nutritionist first. So today my talk is called Killing Us Sweetly. And if there's one thing you could do to change your health, just one thing, it would be to reduce sugar in your diet. I mean, it wouldn't be fat. The biggest thing you could do to help your health would be to reduce sugar. So I'm hoping that today you get that. You really see some new things and get some aha moments when we're talking. And I hope to answer a couple questions today. How much sugar are we really eating, and how much sugar can you eat and still be healthy? What we're going to do first is we're going to look at a few of the health problems that are associated with sugar. We all know cavities, right? We all know weight gain, but there's a lot more. There's a lot more. Our mental health, our memory. So we're going to just touch upon each of those. We're going to look at how addictive sugar is, because we know it's really not good for us, but we keep eating it, right? So we're going to try to take a look at why that is. And if you look at this real quick on this slide, the normal brain looks completely different than the cocaine in the obese brain, right? But there is lit up in the same place. So we're going to talk about how sugar is as addictive as hard drugs. We're going to look at food composition, because if you guys don't know the difference between a carbohydrate and a fat and a protein, and trust me, some of my smartest clients just have no clue. So we're going to have to just take a quick look, because you can't understand sugar if you don't understand that. We're going to look at how much sugar we are eating. People are really, really surprised. You know, you don't hesitate to maybe give your kid a soda, but you wouldn't give them 26 packs of sugar, right? And there's 26 packs of sugar in one of those big sodas. A lot of my clients will go, Mary, I know what to eat. I eat real clean. I don't eat sugar. Sugar's out. But they're still eating bread. They're still eating crackers. They're still eating yogurt. Guess what? Lots of hidden sugar in our foods. That's really where most of it's coming from. Then we're going to look at sugar alcohols and sugar substitutes. And somebody already mentioned that their wife's drinking a lot of Diet Coke. It's really, really important to understand how sugar alcohols and sugar substitutes are affecting our health, big ways. So there are some healthier options, and we'll go through those too. We want to understand food labels, because again, some of my brightest clients will buy something and go, Mary, is this okay? And I'll be like, turn it over. Look at that label. It has 25 grams of sugar. Do you think it's okay? Oh, I didn't look at the label. How much sugar is too much, okay? And some ways to reduce sugar in our diet. Because the biggest problem is the craving, right? From the addiction and from what we're going to talk about later with the insulin. So that's our overview. The first thing we'll look at today is how sugar affects our health. So many ways. And I don't even have cavities on there. There's just so many ways it affects us. It is not a coincidence that 80% of people that have Alzheimer's also have diabetes. I mean, that can't just be a coincidence, right? That's a pretty high number. So when people looked at this, they started to call this disease type 3 diabetes. That's the new name for it, because they definitely think there's a connection with sugar. This is really new research. They've discovered an enzyme that's critical in the early stages of Alzheimer's in stopping the inflammation that gets damaged. Or it actually gets damaged, and it doesn't allow your body to have the inflammatory response it needs. So they think that somehow that sugar might be damaging some different things. They don't exactly know how. But here's the bottom line. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. The bottom line is there's definitely a connection. Here's the biggest reason I think that we really have to be serious about sugar. Sugar is really, really connected to cancer. And if you look at the chart, and the very first part of the chart is just showing like a regular glucose levels in the blood. And everything's kind of even. There are 4 different types of cancer. The blue is pancreatic, the red is liver, the yellow is lung, and then the green is representing all cancers. So you can see that in the far right, where the blood sugars are over 125, everything is really high. Your risks are really going up to have cancer if you have high fasting glucose levels. And so somebody that was a diabetic would have a high fasting glucose level, right? Women with breast cancer, okay? We show poorer outcomes if their insulin levels are high. So their insulin levels would be high if their sugar levels were high, because your body is going to produce insulin in response to your blood glucose levels. Blood glucose is simply sugar in the blood. That's all that is. When we take sugar out, we take out the preferred fuel, okay? So some of the latest research is if you had cancer, if you put somebody on a ketogenic diet, do you know what a ketogenic diet is? So you're gonna give them really high fat and protein, and you're not gonna give them a lot of carbs, very little carbs, maybe 20 grams or less a day of carbs, so that you force their body to burn enough fat that they make ketones for energy. And ketones can be used by the brain and they can be used by the body for energy. But guess what they can't be used for? Cancer. Cancer can't grow. So you're basically starving the cancer. It's like, hey, it's like nutritional chemotherapy when you think about it, right? Because you're starving that cancer without starving your own body. It's kind of scary to know somebody that has cancer and say, hey, take the natural approach. Let's just put you on a ketogenic diet. Yet, if we could get some big doctors to back this up, because we know it's true, we could maybe get people to treat their cancer more naturally and stop going on chemotherapy and destroying their bodies. People get cancer cells all the time, but if we're healthy, we have strong immune systems, and your body takes care of it. So it's when it gets out of control that we can no longer take care of the cancer and it starts to grow. Sugar and diabetes. Okay, so consuming 1 Coke a day, you have an 83% increased risk a day for a month, every day. You have an 83% increased risk of getting diabetes. Okay, sugar and obesity, we all know this, right? So this is the easy one. This is where we say, oh, my kids are getting heavy, or I'm getting heavy, I need to cut out the sugar. But how it actually works is what we don't really understand. So a lot of people tell me they're addicted to sugar, they can't stop. So what's happening is sugar tastes good, so we want to eat it, okay? We eat it, we increase our blood sugar levels, or the glucose levels in your blood. In response, insulin's produced, but also the brain chemistry that we're going to talk about in a minute, the dopamine, is increased. Then it drops because the insulin takes the sugar out of our blood, it drops, dopamine drops, your body craves more. So it just becomes this kind of vicious circle, right? So what I always tell people, give me 3 days. Do my detox, give me 3 days, I will get those cravings out. And everybody will tell me the best thing that happened to them on the detox is that they stopped craving sugar. And it's not that hard. You just have to get your mindset that, yeah, for 3 days, I'm not gonna do this. I mean, the detox is a little longer than 3 days, but you're gonna get rid of the cravings in the first 3 days. So sugar and obesity, big problem. And this is just showing you when insulin is high, glucagon is low. Okay, glucagon is what breaks down the fat. So if we have high insulin levels, and we're gonna have high insulin levels if we're constantly eating foods with hidden sugars all day long. This is what people totally don't get. They'll say, Mary, I can't lose a pound, I don't eat that much, but they're eating fruit for breakfast, and then they're eating fruit for a snack, and then they're having bread at lunch, and then they're having another snack of rice cakes. And all day long, sugar is going into their bloodstream, and they're spiking insulin, and these high insulin levels keep them from ever being able to get the glucagon out, which comes from the pancreas also. They're opposite hormones to break down the fat. So they're constantly promoting fat building and not letting themselves get into the stores. So that's where calories do count at the end of the day, but so do where the calories come from. So if you're on a diet, okay, and you have to choose, you have to choose a snack, and you have 2 fruits. Did you know avocado is a fruit? Mm-hmm. So you have avocado and an apple, they're both fruits. Which one are you gonna choose? Avocado. Right, because it's not gonna spike the insulin. It's a lot more calories. So at the end of the day, I'd probably say, listen, have a half of an avocado or a full apple, but it's a lot.
I just had the avocado.
Oh, okay, good. Well, at least you had the healthy fat with it. So, when you eat fat with a meal that has some carbs in it, you slow down the absorption, so there's not so much of an insulin response. So that's very important too, is how you eat the food. So it's not just what you're eating. Sugar and heart disease, this is a really important one. Everybody thinks of, I gotta give up eggs, I gotta give up, I'm eating too much fat, my doctor told me I have to lower my cholesterol. And they really don't, they start buying low fat this and low fat that. So really, what increases the bad cholesterol in your diet, and we've known this forever, I don't know why it's not just a known fact, but what increases the bad cholesterol is the sugar, okay? Sugar is going to increase your triglycerides, which is going to increase your LDL, or bad cholesterol. This is the one that we want to take out of the blood. The HDL goes and scavenges up the LDL and brings it back to the liver to get processed and get rid of it in the bile. When you eat lots of fiber, you're going to get rid of that. You're going to be able to get rid of the bile, and that's what's going to take that cholesterol out of your body. So all these things kind of work in tandem. So somebody eating a lot of sugar is increasing their bad cholesterol, decreasing their good cholesterol, increasing triglycerides, which all increases inflammation and disease. Do you see that combination? Biggest mistake people make is thinking they have to get the fat out of their diet for high cholesterol and for heart disease. And then, of course, sugar increases weight, which is going to increase your risk of heart disease also. And this is just showing you a couple of very overweight children eating McDonald's and drinking sugar. Sugar increases insulin, which increases your blood pressure. Insulin is a very inflammatory hormone. So one of the things you should ask your doctor to check when you go to the doctor is not just your fasting blood glucose levels, but check your insulin levels. Because we have this chart of people that are gaining weight and nothing's showing up. They come to me, their doctor says I'm great. My insulin level, my blood glucose levels are great. I'm not a diabetic yet. By the time you're diabetic, your insulin levels have been high for years, and that's what we call diabesity. Those insulin levels are high, and then full-blown diabetic. So get those insulin levels checked, and some of your better doctors will be checking insulin levels because they're going to go, hey, wait, you got high insulin levels, let's start watching the sugar in your diet. Too many people come to me and go, my child's overweight, or my child's not eating well, I want you to do a plan for them. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Let's get the parents right. Let's get the parents feeding them right and putting the right foods in the house. So you really need to start with the parents. I really pressure the parents, like a lot of times they'll come to me and they'll go, I want you to do a plan for me, but I really want you to start with my kids. And I'll be like, I really want to start with you. I don't even want to deal with your kids until I get you eating and cooking correctly for the family. Because if you don't understand, how are you going to pass that down to your children? I actually had this conversation with someone this morning. She's got 2 children. One of them just got diagnosed with Crohn's, and she's got to get these kids healthy. And she was more concerned with them. And I was like, no, let's get the 40 pounds off of you. Let's get you cooking again and eating real food again. And then we can talk about the best ways to help the kids, because that's all going to be involved. Okay, so sugar is as addictive as cocaine. And this is the reason it's so hard to give up. It's so hard, and it's the insulin response we just talked about, right? So when insulin goes high, brings all the sugar into the cell, makes us crave more sugar. So it's those high insulin levels that people are walking around with, especially people that have belly fat. They have higher insulin levels. And then it's also because sugar increases the serotonin and dopamine in the brain, okay? So it's going to make you feel happy. It makes you feel good. You want more. They did a rat study, and they gave these rats, they were addicted, rats can get addicted to cocaine very easily, and they did a little study where they found that the rats preferred the Oreos over the cocaine. So these are some fat rats just chowing down on some Oreos there. And this is just showing you what we've already talked about, how you eat the sugar, you love it, you crave it because it's addictive, so your blood sugar goes up, your dopamine levels go up. Then when they fall, you immediately crave it again, you go back to where you're starting. And because the sugar is hidden in so many foods, a lot of people don't even realize they're doing this on a daily basis. Honestly, I would be rich if I had $1 for every time I hear the same thing with a new client. I know what to eat. We eat really well, and then I look at what they're eating. It's like a recording. Okay, so now we're going to look at macronutrients. You guys have to understand this. We won't spend a lot of time, but it shocks me how many people will say to me, well, what's a protein? Or what do you mean? So just real quick, Energy, calories are energy in your body, okay? They come from carbohydrates, fats, and protein. Okay, so today we're just focusing on carbohydrates, but just so you can see, there's also fats and proteins. There's also alcohol, which would be a category of its own. But we don't need to talk about that. Alcohol is more like a sugar. So we'll just put it under sugar. Carbohydrates are going to be either high fiber, high sugar, or sugar alcohols, which you're starting to see in more and more products. So if you were to break it down and just kind of look at food, the foods on your left are all your carbohydrate foods, okay? Some of them are high fiber, potatoes, vegetables, beans. Some of them might fall in more than one category. Because a food isn't just carbohydrate. There's protein in vegetables. There's fats in vegetables. But this is kind of how we categorize them because those are the majority, okay? So beans, a lot of people think they're a protein, but I like to count them more as a carb. Okay, but then we have simple and complex carbs. So your simple ones would be breads and cookies and grains and cereals and even fruit would be more of a simple. It has some fiber, so that might fall somewhere in between. And then your complex ones are digested a little slower because they have lots of fiber in them. Fiber holds a lot of water. They're not going to have as much of a spike in insulin. These are what I always call for my clients, I always say I want you to have a little low glycemic carb with your fat and your protein. I'm talking about the ones on the right, the complex. Rice will spike your blood sugar worse than a candy bar. It will keep your blood sugar high for hours, worse than like a Snickers. It's, something that has some more mixed. Yeah, not that you should eat a Snickers at dinner, but yeah. So those are simple carbs. They break down very quickly in the body. Now, you could have a whole wheat pasta, right, which is going to be a little better. Or you could have that Barilla Plus, where they make them from lentils. You ever hear of Barilla Plus in the yellow box? So that one they make from lentils and beans, and it's got more fiber and more protein. So that's going to go a little more towards the complex. It's going to break down a little slower. The higher the fiber, the more complex. So we want to have a lot of fiber in our diets and in the carbs we're eating. One thing we have to mention is there is a sugar called fructose. It's going to be a little different than your simple glucose. And this is a real problem in our diets and in our processed foods today. Fructose comes from high fructose corn syrup, which we've all heard of. It also comes from fruit. And it has to be metabolized in the liver. And it's only about 20 grams are going to get metabolized a day. So there's lots of hidden high fructose corn syrup in our foods and lots of hidden fructose in our foods. And what's going to happen after that 20 grams, when our liver stores are full, when we can't burn it off, we're going to store fat and we get fatty liver. And we are seeing children with fatty liver disease. I can tell you that those two little boys in that eating those McDonald's had fatty liver disease. I mean, if you've got the belly, you've got fatty liver. So doctors aren't testing for it, but you can go and get tested for it if you want to. So 20 grams of fructose is all we can really absorb a day. 2 apples. A cup of dried figs would be all your fructose. So you can have fruit. It's not that you can't have fruit. I want you to get your fructose from fruit though. And I want your kids to get their fructose from fruit. So it's okay to have a little bit of fructose. And it's okay to have fruit. Fruit is really good for us. It has a lot of vitamins and minerals. Is it okay to eat fruit all day? No. 10 bananas? No. Absolutely not. So, but here's where the real problem is coming from, is the high fructose corn syrup in our products. This is ketchup, okay? You know what? Get your organic ketchup and it doesn't have it in there. So just read your labels. I was shocked a couple of years ago because I knew there was the high fructose corn syrup and stuff, but I didn't know it was like in tomatoes. And I remember buying on vacation, I usually use the cartons of just tomatoes. And I used a can because that's all they had. I was on vacation. And I was like, oh, this is really sweet. Look at the label. Sure enough, high fructose corn syrup. It is hidden in so many foods. We know fructose isn't good for us, right? Because we know it's going to cause fatty liver. But high fructose corn syrup is also a GMO food because corn in this country is GMO. So that's a discussion for another day. But let's just suffice it to say that GMO foods are not good for our body and they're not good for our gut. And so they're everywhere. This is why we have a problem. This is why we have obese children, because they are growing up. These kids are growing up in such a fast-paced society. We're all so busy. I mean, look how busy we are. Everybody's busy. I haven't stopped all day since I saw Rob at 5:45 this morning. And it's just crazy. You have to be prepared, because if you're going to be going out and buying fast foods, you're eating this garbage. And how much are we eating? So this is just looking at how it's changed over the years. In the 1950s, we were still eating a lot of sugar, 34 sugar cubes a day, but hardly any of it was high fructose corn syrup. In the 80s, it went up, and now 47 cubes a day, 10 of which are coming from high fructose corn syrup. Remember this when we talk about how much you can have a day. So 1 cube is 4 grams. Okay, so 47 times 4, you do the math, that's how much that's much. The typical American, the average American, typical American is having 135 pounds of sugar a year. And this is average. I'm not eating that much, so somebody's eating my share. Okay, so there are definitely people eating a lot more than 135 pounds a year. Okay, because I'm probably up eating one of these. And many of you might be too. So there's people eating a lot of sugar. And where is it? So, a lot of you are going, I don't put it in my coffee, and I'm really careful. I look at labels. This guy is just appalled. He's laying on the floor because when they a study that looked at 83,000 foods, 3 out of 4 of them were loaded with sugar. Not just sugar, loaded with sugar. 3 out of 4. So you go down that grocery store aisle and you just start looking, and you're going to see the sugar. And it's not always obvious, okay? What foods do you think in your diet right now, or in the American diet, are hiding the most sugar? If you had to guess, there's 3. I'm going to share them with you.
Bread, cheese, coffee creamer,
Yogurt, bread, cheese, and coffee creamer. Those are good. Coffee creamer has a lot of chemicals too. Anything else? I can give you the answer. Peanut butter. Probably because so many people eat peanut butter. And you can find peanut butter without the sugar. We switched to that years ago. Cereal, hot cereals. Oatmeal. I start my day off with oatmeal. I'm eating a really clean diet, and I look at the package, I'm like, there's 29 grams of sugar in that. Are you kidding me? And waters. These little waters like vitamin water, and these are a lot of hidden sugar. Those are the 3. But yogurt has a lot of hidden sugar. We're going to talk about yogurt in a minute. I thought that was one of the foods. This is just showing you some of the foods. 50% of the sugar that we're eating comes from these types of foods, is in high fructose corn syrup. Things like ketchup, dressings, salad dressings, cereals, big one. A lot of people start their kids off in the morning with a bowl of cereal, and they're just sending them off to school with sugar, no protein, no healthy fat. And that's why, so many people eat out a lot. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of my clients will say, well, I eat lunch out every day, and about 3 or 4 times a week we're eating dinner out. And every single time you eat out, I don't care if you go to the healthiest restaurant in Alpharetta, there is more fat and more sodium and probably MSG hidden in your food. And MSG makes you want to eat more, so you're going to eat more because that's another excitogen for the brain. And that's a big problem. That's a big problem with what's going on with our food supply. I love this. So many people will say to me, I don't eat carrots because they're high in sugar. But then they sit down at night and they drink a bottle of wine. So I just wanted to show you this, that, just every little dot you see on the bottom is a sugar cube. So a carrot would be half of a sugar cube, 0.5 grams. And then you go all the way up to the bottle of wine, 110 grams of sugar.
Is that the whole bottle?
It's a whole bottle. But think about this. And I thought the same thing. I'm like, well, who's drinking a whole bottle of wine, right? But then I thought, well, yeah, that's 4 glasses. A lot of my clients are drinking it over 2 nights, if not 1 night for some of them. in my detox plan, I had so many people that were afraid to do my detox because they were like, I just don't think I can give up my wine. I just don't think I can do it. That I started putting kombucha, and the kind you can get over here at this Amy's has alcohol in it. And I started allowing that in the detox to get them to do it. And they pour it in a little wine glass, and it gets them off of that wine habit, because that's another story. But lots of sugar in wine, soda. Your fruit is somewhere in the middle, okay? But look at the bear. That's a regular one. You could get a light one. So that would be one of your better choices, right? For alcohol. I know, a light beer. Noted. There's a nice one that I really like. It's called Beck's Premier Light. It's very rich tasting. It's 64 calories. But it doesn't taste watered down like the Mick 64. They're pretty nice. Okay, this slide was supposed to be where you just see, they're all sugars. This is all the things you might see on a label. So again, when you're looking at your label, if you're looking at what's in the product, also look at your grams of sugar, because it may be hidden in another word. It might not just say sugar. Try to stick to the real food, right? I mean, why are we buying this fake food anyway? Go buy fruits and vegetables and meats and just stick to that outside where there's one ingredient on the package. So there's lots of different names for sugar. So we definitely have to be aware of that. One thing I forgot to mention too is sugar is another GMO food in this country because it comes from sugar beets. So we got another problem with it. Okay, so what a lot of companies have done, a lot of diet products have done, is they've replaced some of the sugar with sugar alcohols. Now, sugar alcohol does not spike insulin as much. It has a much smaller spike in insulin, so that would be good for a diabetic, right? However, there's some issues with them, but you can find the sugar alcohols will be labeled now, so you'll see carbohydrates, fiber, sugar, and sugar alcohols. So I always look when I see a product like everybody's raving about the new Halo ice cream. I'll go, oh, let me see what's in there. Right away, I get drawn to the sugar alcohol that's in there. The OL gives it away. Gum. You don't know how many people come to me and say, I've got this terrible stomach problem. I guess I could see a nutritionist first, but I'm thinking I need to go get a colonoscopy. And I say, do you chew gum? Well, yeah, I chew a lot of gum. Okay, let's try giving up the gum first. One stick of gum can kill your gut, as far as you could be doubled over in pain. I'm hard pressed to find a gum without sugar alcohol. I go to Natural Food Warehouse if I want gum, and I find one with sugar in it. I know that sounds contraindicated. We're talking about not cutting sugar out, but there's very little sugar in a piece of gum. If I want it for a flight, I'm going to be flying, I want to be able to chew gum, I will go get the regular sugar gum, because sugar alcohols can give you not only distress, but they can break down the healthy bacteria in your gut. You might be able to get away with a piece of gum or a piece of candy that has it in. You'll find it hidden in your sugar-free candies. But very often people don't even realize that's what's upsetting their stomach. They don't really see the connection. It's found in a lot of these drinks again. And the most popular thing right now on the market is the Halo Top ice cream. And there's 4 grams of sugar alcohols. That's if you only ate, that's probably for a half a cup. Most people are probably eating more. So here's the problem: diarrhea, bloating, gas, nausea, dysbiosis. Dysbiosis is what I'm concerned about. If you want to walk around bloated with gas, that's fine. But you're hurting the healthy bacteria in your gut when you eat these, okay? Everything starts in the gut. Our health begins, our immune system begins in the gut. And there's so many problems with anything from obesity, cancer, autoimmune disease, Crohn's. So many things are coming from us destroying the healthy guys in our gut, okay? So we have this ecosystem of healthy guys that are supposed to be living in our gut. We're destroying them with GMOs, sugar alcohols, Advil, all kinds of things are hurting those. So this is one of those things that's hurting those. Maybe if you eat a really clean diet, really healthy, you can get away with a little sugar alcohols. It's not the worst thing in the world, but just so you're aware of how it can affect you. Okay, sugar substitutes. We have Equal, which is aspartame, that's the blue. Sucralose, which is Splenda. Saccharin, we've all heard of that, sweet and low. Neotime, we're going to spend a minute on that today. This last one, acesulfamine potassium, Have you guys heard of that, seen it? It's in a lot of the stuff you have or somebody you know has. Okay, so really, really big problem is that we've gotten away from sugar and we're doing this instead, okay? Splenda has a chlorine molecule on it. That's what the Cl is. So it's like sugar, and they advertise it just like sugar, tastes like sugar. And we used to think it didn't get absorbed by the body, so no big deal, right? It was just going right through the gut. We weren't absorbing it. We got that nice sweet taste, tastes just like sugar. But what we later found out was, yes, about 10% is getting absorbed, and it is toxic. It gets stored in your fat cells, and it just came out with another study linking it to leukemia. But not worse than that, but in addition to that, it totally causes the dysbiosis that we're just talking about, because the bad guys in the gut think it's sugar, and they are all over it. So they are chewing away at that stuff, and so it's linked to leukemia. When this is an older study, there's a brand new one that also came out just recently. And the poor gut health, that's what we just talked about. Okay, equal. So we know we don't want Splenda. Equal, aspartame, NutraSweet, made by Monsanto, our friends that brought us the GMOs. Brain tumors, these are all the things that have been associated with it. Mental retardation, that's probably more so in someone that has PKU disease. Birth defects, epilepsy, Parkinson's, fibromyalgia, diabetes, migraines. And I can attest to that. I gave it up years ago because it was causing migraines. Here's that little hidden one that we talked about. Start looking at some products if you have any diet products at home and see if you see this, especially drinks. It's found in products like that ice, like those waters. And it is a known carcinogen. Also causes headaches, mental confusion, depression, nausea, liver and kidney problems, vision issues, cancer. It's a big one. And then we all remember sweet and low, okay? Saccharin. Years ago, they had to label, they were told because they found it caused cancer. I think it was bladder cancer in rats that they had to start labeling the products. We also see all these other things with saccharin. You don't see saccharin a lot anymore. Does anybody? It's not in too many things. New one on the market, made by our friends from Monsanto. They figured they're losing money on NutraSweet because people have figured out that it's a toxin. So they have one now that's even more potent. 13,000 times stronger than sugar, no labeling requirements. Think about that. They have somehow done no independent research studies on this, and they have gotten the government to say, it's okay, you don't need to label it. Just go ahead and put it in the food. It can even be an organic food. No safety at all. More toxic. It's a neurotoxin, meaning it's going to affect our brain. Immunotoxin, meaning it's going to affect our immune system. And an excitotoxin, probably meaning it's going to be quite addictive. We're going to want more of it. We know it increases cravings and causes weight gain, which all of the sugar substitutes do. So, again, perfect example why we can't trust our food supply. And as I said, it's already it can be in your organic foods. It's not labeled. All of these have been associated with weight gain, not weight loss, okay? Here's a guy ordering some fast food and then he gets a diet soda with it to top it off. My husband was a really big Diet Coke person, like to the point where he was drinking like all day long. He worked in food service and he was all day long drinking this stuff, and he got really, really sick. He got pancreatitis, and it was from the Diet Coke. The doctor said, stop drinking that poison. He's like, oh yeah, my wife's been telling me that. Yeah. And he stopped it within 3 days. His gut got better. Wow. But it really, really is bad for us. We have a couple of healthy substitutes, okay? A natural leaf stevia, something that is just stevia on the label. I love this one. It's just organic, natural leaf stevia, nothing else in it. You could get it in liquid. You can get it in powder. A little bit goes a long way. It has a glycemic index of 0, so it should not raise your blood sugar like some of these other things. Not Truvia. Truvia, along with a lot of the other stevia that you're seeing in your products, has been processed. So we don't really know. We're going to probably start seeing side effects from those things because it's not the same. They've taken something that's natural and made it different or natural. Monk fruit, I really like this. Monk fruit or lohan comes from a fruit, glycemic index of 0. This is new, it's Yukon syrup. It comes from a yucca root, which is like a yam. It has a little bit of a glycemic index, 1, and this is on a scale of 100, okay? So it's not really that bad. You can play around with it. I have not loved it. I've tried it a little bit. I find that you need a lot of it to flavor your food, so then you're starting to get up there. And it's quite expensive at this point. Honey would be my next choice for you, but it is going to be high on the glycemic index, so that's going to count as some of your sugar for the day. But if you wanted to sweeten something and you didn't want to use stevia, use a little honey in the recipe or use a little, but just keep in mind this is considered part of my sugar, right? A teaspoon is going to be about 5 grams. Okay, which of these would be healthier, the yogurt or the bowl of ice cream? This is a Noosa yogurt, keep in mind. It's the finest yogurt.
Ice cream.
You just guessed that, right?
No, I knew.
You knew? So this is the label of the Noosa strawberry yogurt. My sister was eating this when I went away with her a couple months ago. And I was like, what are you eating? She goes, oh, this yogurt. I eat yogurt in the morning. I don't eat sugar. I'm like, well, no, you're eating sugar. You're eating 29 grams of sugar right now. 29 grams. Guys, keep this in mind. Remember, women, 26 a day is what we should have max for our health. So this is somebody starting their day with this is a healthy yogurt, you guys. It's made from organic milk. Everything about it is healthy other than the fact that they've put 29 grams of sugar in it. The strawberry ice cream, it only has 15. Probably not as healthy, the things that are in it, but a lot less sugar. This is a Quest bar. How many in here eat Quest bars? 2 people? Okay. So the erythritol that you see here is your sugar alcohol, 3 grams, okay? So this bar has 20 grams of carbs, 13 fibers, which we would consider 7 net, not bad. And then it has the sugar alcohol, too many of those, and you're gonna be a little bloated. But look at what else is on the Quest bar label. On the front of it, it tells you that now it's made with stevia, right? You see the stevia there at the end? But it also has the sugar alcohols and the sucralose, the Splenda. So now we've got the gut poison, the leukemia, and a little bit of fake stevia in there. So not your best choice for a protein bar. It has corn fiber, which is GMO. It's just really not a great choice. And there's so many people that think this is really healthy. So this is a Quest bar. This here is a Jillian's Bakery Paleo bar. Look at the difference in what's in the food label. All that's in this is organic egg whites, organic prebiotic fiber, organic sunflower seeds, and monk fruit extract. That's it. There's nothing else in these products. And they're bars, they're chewy bars that taste like caramel. No sugar alcohols, 20 grams of protein, high fiber, very high fiber. These are, I have a section on my website called Some of My Favorite Things, and under it I have healthy bars, and I also have another article on my 5 favorite protein bars, and these are in there. And that's why, look how clean the label is. So we can find some processed foods that are cleaner. We just really have to look at labels. All right, how much sugar can you have? We said we were going to answer this question. The American Heart Association says women can have about 25 grams or 6 teaspoons a day. So remember, if you had that Noosa yogurt, you're done. You've already had 29. Unless you're a guy, you can have the yogurt plus a half a banana. You're all set. Children or people that are overweight, diabetics, they need less. People that have cancer, right? Let's really be careful with that. So it's okay to have some sugar. You're going to have natural sugars in your product in your diet every day. That's okay. But if you're getting high fiber, your carbohydrates from really high fiber foods. So how much sugar you can have? Look at the this person starting their day with Cheerios with protein, the high protein Cheerios, right? There's 16 grams of sugar in there. You are almost at your limit for the day with a bowl of cereal. I did a home visit for a family for coaching last weekend, and it was a teenage son, 15, that was very into nutrition and eating healthy and eating clean, and the parents were worried he wasn't eating enough. So it was kind of a little battle back and forth between them. And he starts pulling out cereal boxes. He goes, what do you think of this? And it was a Cheerios box. And I said, it has a lot of sugar. He goes, mm-hmm. He goes, yep. To his parents. He was like, that's why I'm not eating that. That's why I have my eggs in the morning. So, and I warned the parents when I went there, I said, I may find that he's eating better than you. So in some ways, he was. And he said, I've cut sugar out of my diet. And he was reading labels at 15. He was a little obsessive. That's a whole other story. But we don't need to get into that. But I love the fact that he pointed that out on the Cheerios. It was awesome. Okay, ways to reduce sugar in your diet. Okay, track your food. Look at what you're eating. I love the app Lose It. I love it. And when someone says to me, oh, Mary, I won't do a food log. I hate logging food. They don't want to see it. They don't want to make changes because you have to see it to make the changes. I have to see it. I have been doing this for years. I see it every day. I want to see where my sugar's at. All right, so tracking your food, learn where your sugar is, see where it is. Eat fruit instead of candy, cakes, and cookies in moderation. If you need something sweet, I actually have a dark chocolate almond bark recipe that is really, really good. It's on my website. That's what I tell my clients. It takes you 2 seconds to make, throw it in the freezer. It's done in minutes. It's done in like 30 minutes. And that stuff is the bomb. It's made with carob. It's really good. That'll quench your craving for sweet. Cut sugar in recipes in half or use some stevia. These are just ways to reduce it. Use cinnamon. Don't completely deprive yourself. You know, a lot of times my clients will go, I know, I cheated. I had birthday cake on my birthday. And I'm like, okay, no, it's all right. You're going to do that. You're going to live life. But let's try on a regular basis, 90% of the time, to be working on it. Reward yourself without food, obviously. Okay, low sugar snack ideas. We talked about this a little bit. Veggie sticks with hummus and guacamole, cheese with vegetables, organic edamame, organic because that's a GMO food. Nuts and seeds would be a good choice. Chia seed milkshake, that's on one of my recipes on my site. Plain yogurt. I have a lot of grain-free recipes on my site. It helps you get the carbs out, which are going to turn to sugar in your body. Grain-free pumpkin muffins. I have a free bread, which is grain-free, everything free. It's really good. So go through my site, try some grain-free recipes. Natural nut butters. You can take your almond butter, whoever was my almond butter lover, with some celery sticks. And that's it, really. In conclusion, you guys, I hope you see how much sugar is a problem in our society. You've got to understand food composition a little bit and read your labels, and you really have to eat real food and eat at home. This is my business. As I said, I'm a personal trainer nutritionist. I do personal lifestyle plans for people. I have a 2-week detox plan. Some of you have done the 8-week body transformation and bridal transformation, and I do personal training. So I invite you to follow me on social media for recipes and tips. If you go to my website, if you look at the back of the card, it says 2weekdetoxplan.com. If you go to that website, there's a little video where I talk about the detox. Some people are being interviewed that did it, so it tells you a little bit more about it. It's very simple to follow, and I highly recommend it if you haven't done it.